can show it to people later on. And I've also put a file that you can download. It's like a link bank for different links we're going to be talking about. And there's a poll question, too, that I was hoping maybe in a couple of minutes we could go through some of those answers and talk about ways that you guys celebrated Earth Day last year. So let me see.
Oh, hey, Linda. Where are you a solar system ambassador at?
Oh, nice.
Located where? Words. Sorry, you have a question.
Oh, we look a little washed out on the screen up there.
We do. We're going to shut the blinds.
Yeah, it's a good idea. So Linda is from Sarasota, Florida. Very nice. Hello, Lori. Yes, we are coming fresh off of our big NASA at My Library workshop, which was last week. So I know we're all still catching our breath, and hopefully we'll see a few familiar faces in the attendee list. Let's see, Amy, Annalie. Good number of folks. Hello, Annalise. Hi, Haley.
Better?
Yeah, that looks better. Yeah. Do a quick test of the Elmo real quick. Hi, Georgia. Hi, Barbara. I'm from Georgia as well originally. What part of Georgia are you from, Barbara? Oh, from Gwinnett. Okay. As you called it, Gwinnett. It's actually called Gwinnett.
Apparently. I got them all wrong.
Hi, Joe. All right. Oops.
You don't look washed out anymore. You're just looking like a healthy tan.
I know. Yeah, that's right. All right. Well, if we can't use the Elmo, we can't use the Elmo. That's fine. All right, guys, we'll go ahead and get started. So I'm just going to put this little link bank download down in the bottom right, and I'll remove it momentarily. And then I want to go over a few of these answers that we got in our poll about how you guys celebrated Earth Day last year. So let's see. Story time for families at for 10 a.m. reading Earth Story Scope of Universe program. Very cool. Severe weather presentation by the National Weather Service. That sounds awesome. Story time based on the Earth, doing 1 story hour. The children peeled pine cones and planted the seeds. Oh, how nice.
That's cute.
I know. Let's see. We had an event for our community with games and prize. Somebody said, haven't heard back from the public libraries yet, but we're lame and we're not able to facilitate a program ourselves. Well, whoever posted that and wherever you're coming from, I hope that today makes you feel a little bit better.
State library?
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't know who that was.
Yeah. So I'm going to go ahead and close this poll as well. All right, I think we're ready to get started. We have a couple of wonderful presenters today, and we'll get to them in about 10 minutes. I just kind of want to go over a few things, and then Annie and myself are going to highlight a very fun activity that you will have a chance to do in your library. Without giving too much away. Could somebody type in the chat box real quick? Is our audio fine? Too loud? Too soft? Anything like that? Good. Okay. Awesome. We've got Greg in the chat box. He'll be putting links in there as well throughout the webinar. But
Karen, if we're too loud, just back up away from your monitor.
We're usually too loud. All right. So here's the agenda for today. I'm just going to go over a little quick introduction. We're going to talk about our 2018 Earth Day page and make some special announcements. We might navigate through the event page for you guys, so you'll have to bear with us on the technical side for that. Annie and I are going to be highlighting a fun hands-on STEM activity. Oh, hey, Judy. And then we'll be turning things over to Marilé and Jessica to talk a little bit about the NASA Globe Observer app. And I'm hoping we have time to cover a couple of more activities at the end and ideas that you can do for Earth Day. And then if we have time, take a few questions. All right, so of course, most of you guys probably heard about this webinar through StarNet, but StarNet is our online community of librarians getting together and talking about what's working in the STEM field and how they can, better be STEM facilitators. So there's webinars, newsletters, blogs, forums, videos. There's a whole slew of resources for you to look at. So if you are not a member, we'd highly recommend going to starnetlibraries.org and signing up. It is free. That is the biggest thing. So here are some of those free resources, like I said. We have the STEM Activity Clearinghouse, which we'll be referencing a lot today. There's a lot of different reports, different tools, different links for different library leaders that are getting involved with STEM, or whether you want to host something like a community dialogue and you want to bring your community together. Blogs, StarNet News, you guys probably get the newsletter if you've signed up already. And then this is kind of a newish aspect of the StarNet website. This is our partnership opportunities. So I'd highly encourage you guys, if you're looking for ways to connect with different after-school providers maybe, or engineers in your community, or how to connect with NASA resources, or if you're looking for a solar system ambassador, like we had, was it Linda, I think, in the chat box? That is a great part of StarNet to check out in order to kind of get more tuned in. And then I am very, very, very excited about our next webinar. I'm excited about all of our webinars, but this one upcoming should be really, really fun. So the Mars Insight Lander, is that its official name?
You got it.
Okay, all right. Is going to Mars, obviously. And it's not going to, once it lands, it's going to stick a few sensors into the ground to kind of measure some of the geology of Mars and some of the interior. We don't know a lot about what the inside of Mars looks like, so the Mars Insight Lander, once it launches and lands, is going to kind of help us understand what the interior of Mars is like, and thus maybe what the formation of our universe and solar system was like, and we're going to learn a lot from that. So we are going to be joined by Steve Lee. He is a planetary geologist. He works at the Denver Museum of Nature and Science. He also works here at Space Science Institute, and he's going to be coming in to talk a little bit about some of his work, and then also Mars in general and what he knows about the InSight lander. We'll also be highlighting a couple of fun activities, one being Recipe for a Planet. So that should be a lot of fun. That'll be on April 3rd. The cool thing about the Mars InSight lander is when it launches, it should be launching around the time when all of you could do programming at your libraries. Of course, depending on your hours of operation and everything. But I think it's going to be like early morning. Of course, if the weather is fine and all of that. So you could do a big webcast of the launch. NASA, of course, is going to have some great resources there. And this is a 2-for-1. You get the May 5th launch, and then you also get like an early November landing that you could celebrate as well. And I think it's set to land around the time when you could do a webcast of that. So there's a button on the screen. You can register now to find out more about that webinar. It is Tuesday, April 3rd. So we anticipate that'll fill up quickly. Okay, now it's time to talk about our big highlighted activity for Earth Day. UV Kit is a fun activity for a few different reasons. It uses really, really cool materials, so UV beads. There's an art element to it in which you get to kind of design a little creation. And also it talks about our protective atmosphere and everything. It talks about the electromagnetic spectrum and what UV light is, and how to protect yourself from UV light. If you're anything like me with my red hair, you are quite used to UV radiation and how to protect yourself from UV radiation. So yeah, we'll go ahead and jump right into it. Let me see if I can get our Elmo cam working. We'll just show the screen. So the first thing you're going to need for UV Kit are UV beads. These are just plastic clear beads, but they do something really cool when they are exposed to UV light. So UV light, ultraviolet radiation, it can come from a few different sources. If you are inside on a rainy day and you do not have access to the outside, UV flashlights, are going to be your best way to simulate that ultraviolet radiation. Okay? Or I guess I shouldn't say simulate. This is actual ultraviolet light.
So if you want to buy these yourself, you search for pee detectors on Amazon.
Oh, right. Yeah, so for like pet
yeah.
urine, I guess that would really pick that up. So yeah, UV flashlight or pet urine detectors. They work both ways. So these beads activate when they are exposed to UV light. Let's see if maybe I can just show you guys.
Sure, I could take it up to
Okay, yeah, and see if the whole bag will change.
Sure. Right. Might need to refocus for a second here, guys. But woo.
So we're shining the UV light on the beads. Yay! Oh, you can see that really well.
Wow. Sorry. That's really good. Actually, it looks better on the camera than in real life.
Yeah. And so these beads activate. They change colors once they are exposed to UV light. So this kind of sets us up for a fun little experiment using, regular beads along with UV beads. So the next step in UV Kit would be to create your own person, stick figure, dog, whatever kind of UV creation. So here we have two, and I want to get y'all's opinion. This is just a regular, let's see, on your left, this is just a regular person. I want to see if I want to see if anybody in the chat box can tell. Anne, did you create this?
Maybe.
What this UV creation is? Yeah, okay, that was easy. Man, you're
nice.
A much better artist than I am. Oh, the Taj Mahal, nice.
Oh,
that's a good guess too.
Totally, that's what I made.
Yeah. So you made your little creation. You put your UV beads along with regular beads on your creation, and then Dumbo. I like that. It does look like Dumbo with big ears. And from there, you can kind of do this experimentation based on what's going to protect your UV kid from UV light. So what's going to get them that really bad sunburn, going to get them to change colors, and sorry, I got that reversed. What's going to protect your UV kid and what wouldn't protect your UV kid from UV light. So let's pretend that we have made our UV creations already. We have them sitting here. And we're just going to get a few different, let's get some UV beads out. And we'll put them right here, so you guys should be able to see them. Sorry, our close-up cam isn't working, but I'm hoping that you guys can still see this. And, let's see, shine our UV light here. And it really only takes a few seconds.
Oh, yeah, you can see that.
Yeah, and you guys can see that these have changed colors as we leave them over here. They'll kind of fade back. It takes about 10 or 15 seconds for these UV beads to fade back to original color. So, Anne, what do you think we should try first? You want to try some sunglasses? Okay. Let's get a new batch. So what do you guys think? Do you think that sunglasses will protect the UV beads from UV radiation? You can answer in the chat box. And so, guys, of course, you would be doing this normally with your patrons, their creations. Yeah, they should, if they're good sunglasses. I don't know if these are good sunglasses or not. What about eclipse glasses? Would eclipse glasses protect? Okay. So we're going to shine. We have our beads sitting right here. We're going to shine through the sunglasses. Give it a few seconds. Where'd you get these sunglasses, Anne? Are these nice sunglasses?
They're giveaways from ALA.
Okay. Are we getting any changing?
Nope.
All right.
Just the ones on the outside.
Just the ones on the outside, okay.
Nice.
Okay, great. So no change with the sunglasses. These are actually kind of cheap, but I think UV protection is relatively standard. We could try my regular glasses. I know these are supposed to have UV protection in them. Except now I won't be able to see whether they're changing or not. Oh, maybe I was wrong.
Uh-oh.
Okay, so they do change with my regular glasses, so maybe these don't have the UV protection I thought. Deborah is suggesting sunscreen. We do have some sunscreen to test out. We'll try that in just a minute. Let's try, let's see, what about just some regular kind of like plastic film? Oh, I just so happen to have that right here. How about that?
Oh, convenient.
All right, so we're going to try some plastic film. I truly do not know whether this will protect from the UV light or not. I'm going to hypothesize it will not. What's your hypothesis?
I guess I'll have to say it will.
Okay. Himara says I should get new glasses. Yeah, I know. I thought that it was standard, but I know like your car windows protect from UV light.
Oh.
Okay. So they did change with just this regular plastic film.
Someone suggested clothing. Do we have clothing we're not wearing?
No, we're gonna take off my jacket, I guess. I think that'll be good enough. But how about aluminum foil? Annalie suggests. Good idea.
I just like playing with the beads, guys. I don't know about the rest of you.
Yeah, I'm going to say, Jenny's saying depends on the thickness of the fabric. I'm going to think something like my thick fleece jacket would protect, but some lighter clothing, like maybe a t-shirt, wouldn't. It's on you guys to experiment and find out. So let's see. Aluminum foil. Swimsuit? That's a good guess. I know some swimwear has specific built-in UV protection. So nope, just the ones on the outside with the aluminum foil. Oh, the difference between a white t-shirt dry and wet. These are great ideas. Okay, lastly, because I want to make sure our presenters have enough time, we're going to do some sunscreen. Really, I know this is going to protect it as long as our sunscreen isn't old. I just want to kind of do it anyway. I have lots of beads to clean up after this. Okay, we'll
you do it.
Okay, give it just a quick little spray here.
He missed the first time.
I don't know. It's still kind of showing up. Maybe we should have let it soak in for a minute.
Yeah, so something we've had people look at in the past is the difference between the spray and the rub-on sunscreen. Yeah. And we've had people tell us they've switched the type of sunscreen they used based on the results. So I'm not surprised the spray didn't work.
Yeah, I'll just say, let's see. I'm not going to lambast any brand here. This is an SPF 50. I don't know how old it is.
Store brand.
Store brand, so. Anyway, guys, you can see there's a lot of different ways you can kind of do this activity and have your own variations. Depending on your familiarity as a facilitator, whether you feel really good about talking about the electromagnetic spectrum and different wavelengths of light, then you can go really far with this. If you're just, I don't really know much about light, but I do know that sunlight causes us to get sunburns, you can even base it based on that, or you can base your activity based on that. We'll talk about a couple of variations after our guest presenters come on and speak. So with that being said, I'll go ahead and introduce our guest speakers. Joe, that's a good
you're
point.
Smart.
I know. It's like you just spent 2 days at NASA boot camp or something, Joe. So our two presenters today are going to be talking about the NASA Globe Observer and the Cloud Teller activity. So they're just going to be kind of talking about some of the things that NASA can provide you with in terms of resources and cool free apps for Earth Day or any other type of big event. So I'm not, like I said, I'm not going to read their entire biographies. That will be there, and you can kind of go through those. They are very qualified to be talking about the Globe Observer and citizen science. And let's see. Yeah, without further ado, let's go ahead and introduce Marilé and Jessica. If you guys want to pull up your audio and your cameras. Hey, Marilé. All right, and I think you guys are still on mute, so if you want to take yourself off mute, or I can.
So hello, everybody. It's great to be here today.
Yeah. And Jessica, do you just want to say hello quickly?
Yeah, hi, everyone. Can't wait to talk to you about some of the activities.
All right, so with that being said, we're going to close ourselves out. We'll still be in the chat box, and we'll be muted as well, and we'll see you in about, I don't know, 20 or 30 minutes. Thanks, guys.
Okay, so hello everybody. It's really great to be here. Again, my name is Marilé Colón Robles, and I am the NASA Globe Clouds lead. I'll be talking to you guys about the Globe Observer app and how to make cloud observations. And then I'll pass it on to Jessica Taylor, who is the Science Education Team Lead here at NASA Langley. And she'll be going through some activities that would be great to accompany the app. So again, let's go into the app and see how it works. So here at NASA, we have the Globe Clouds team, and we work really hard to match observations submitted by you and by patrons to satellite data. And what we do is when you go outside, we see, when you submit your data, we see your location and your time, and then we look for a satellite that's overhead at more or less the same time, and then match that observation. There's certain times or certain situations where the satellite has a little bit of difficulty figuring out what cloud type it's looking at. So this is where your observations become really powerful for us and for researchers around the world. So thank you for all those that have been submitting observations already. Let me go through the Globe Observer app. This is how it looks like for the clouds portion. The objective is an easy way to submit your cloud observations to us, to NASA. It's great for families of school-aged children if they have the app downloaded. Also great with tweens and teens and adults. What you would need is a smartphone or a tablet to be able to download the app, and then access to go outside and look at the clouds that you have on that day. We do want to point out, in our experience as well, is that maybe not all patrons will have access to a phone or a tablet. Those that do have access may not want to download the app right there. So what we've done in these circumstances is to be able to have some way to still engage them in cloud observations. This can be having a tablet with the app already downloaded on it. This is a great way to engage particularly families with school-aged children, because they can move through. The app has great pictures of clouds, so it's really exciting for them. Now, we do understand that not every situation is good to have an app. So we have here some other resources. We have a data sheet that mimics what the app asks you as how to collect cloud observations that you can print out. And then there's cloud charts also available, like this one. And these cloud charts are also available in different languages, which is great depending on your location if you want to engage with people that speak different languages, like me and Jessica as well. Now, how do you download the app? So the app is available for Apple or for Android devices. And then what you search for is Globe Observer. And then this picture right here that I'm pointing at right now is the image or the icon for the app. So you want to make sure that you see that when you go to your app store. Once you have it and you download it, this is the first screen that you'll see, telling you how you're going to become a citizen scientist and join a team and send observations to NASA. When you go to the second page, you click Next. It invites you to look at more data or more information about the GLOBE program. GLOBE stands for Global Learning and Observations to Benefit the Environment. It's an international program that collects data from the environment, and it's been around for 20 years, so it's really exciting. At the last option here is log in or create an account. So when you go there, of course, it is an acronym, right? When you go there, this image right here is the next page, if you will, that you'll see on the app. I want to point out the latter part of that. It says New Globe Citizen Scientist, and you are going to become a citizen scientist. It'll ask you for your email, your country, and then a referral code. I just want to point out to be careful as you enter your email address. What'll happen when you hit create account, it'll send you a password, an automatic password for you to be able to enter the data, and then for us to be able to track where this data is coming from. So it only asks you for the email once, so just be careful that you enter the email correctly. If you don't get the password within just a few seconds, an email with a password within just a few seconds, then maybe go back and check how you typed your email address. Now the referral code, okay? A referral code is just a way to join the team. And for this case, the team is the library team. So we're really excited about that. The codes don't expire. Anyone can use the code. And for this group, we want the team to be library, all small caps. Lowercase, thank you, sorry. Spanish is my first language, so it was creeping up on me. So lower caps, library. Now, some of you guys have already joined the team, maybe last year, with a different referral code. Then you're already part of the team, and thank you for being part of that team. Anybody that's not part of the team, you can use the word library, all lowercase letters, okay? Now, when you go into the app, and you download it and you click on the clouds portion, this is what you will see. And then when you click on new cloud observations, this is the second page. So it'll automatically fill in the date and time. Now, if your device has a data plan, like a cell phone or anything like that, it'll fill in the latitude and longitude automatically. If you have a device, kind of like I have my iPad that doesn't have a data plan, it connects to the wireless internet, you may have to put in the latitude and longitude information. And then it'll ask you for, what do you see? What does your sky look like? And there's different options. You can click on no clouds. Clouds and contrails are definitely observable, or actually there's things happening that don't let me observe, and we call these obscurations. If you clicked on no clouds, then it'll ask you what is the sky color. And really what we're asking here is, what is the deepest blue you can see in your sky? And then there's pictures to go along to help you compare and contrast, right? The app is designed to make sure that you feel comfortable making your observations as you go through the questions. Then it'll ask you for sky visibility. So if you look horizontally, can you see clearly? So if you know that there's like a statue or a mountain, right, in Colorado, right? How clearly can you see those? These two questions give researchers a great deal of information or idea of how many aerosols there are in the sky. And then it'll ask you for any obscurations, again, those things that can happen that'll block your view. And these can be blowing snow, fog, a sandstorm, heavy rain, things like that. If there are clouds, then this is what you would see. It'll ask you for your sky cover percentage, and you'll see here the options, and again, pictures. I love these pictures to give you an example of what that percentage looks like. You pick the one that looks the best for your situation, and then it'll ask you to look at the cloud types, and it'll divide it by high, mid-level, and low-level clouds. If when you go into high-level clouds, let's just do that for example, you'll notice if you keep scrolling, you'll see more pictures. It'll give you pictures of the types of clouds you find at that level. Again, to make sure that you and your patrons feel comfortable making these observations. You can click on which one looks the best. It'll ask you how many or how much of that high altitude is covering the sky. So again, the cloud percentages, and then it'll go to the next level and the next level. If you don't see any of these clouds, then you click on no high level clouds, and then you go to the next level. These are all yes, no questions. Again, making it very simple and easy for you. At the end, it'll ask you about your surroundings. This is a particularly important question for researchers here at NASA Langley, because sometimes the satellite cannot detect very well clouds if there's snow on the ground, as an example. So when you report your surface conditions, that's one of the questions that we always look like. Was there snow on the ground? Is there standing water? And that includes, standing water includes any rivers or lakes that are already there. If it's muddy, are there leaves on the trees? Things like that. Also, to help us out, there are, you can take pictures of the sky. So let me go back. I see that there's a question. Thank you, Brooks, for bringing that up. So how do you know if it's high-level or mid-level clouds? And this is a great question. And there's different tips and tricks that you can do. The one that I use the most to determine if it's a high-level cloud is, does it look thin and wispy? Let's look at this picture right here. I know it's small, but this looks kind of like how hair looks like. That is very typical of cirrus clouds. They can be like little puffs, but the puffs will look more like really, really small, kind of like looking at fish scales and things like that. There are different tricks that you can do, and they are available. There is the um, Globe Elementary book about clouds, and that one has a lot of different examples like the one I just talked about to determine between high, mid, and low. There's also different tricks you can do with your hand if there are puffs, right? So if the puff is as big as your fist, if you hold up your hand up high and you compare the size, then it's a low-level cloud or cumulus cloud. If it's actually more the size of your thumb, the part with the nail, and you look up, again, you stretch your arm here and you look at the cloud, then that's a mid-level puff or cumulus, alto cumulus. And then if it's as teeny tiny as your pinky, the nail on your pinky, then that is a high-level puff or cirrocumulus cloud. So again, those are a few tips. I hope, Anali, that that helps you out. That's a great question right there. Perfect. Thank you, Jessica. So Jessica has put the book, the Globe Elementary book. I love doing that with school-aged children because it has, again, those descriptions that they can relate to very well. Now, the app also asks you for pictures, and this is one that's also really interesting for researchers. Now, this is optional, but I hope that you guys take pictures. This is how it looks like. Be sure to be outside. Number one, when I took this picture as an example, I was in my office, but just to show how it works. You'll see letters and words in the bottom, and then maybe depending on where you're facing, you'll see a black circle. Now the black circle is right at the spot, not right on the horizon. It's really difficult to see cloud types right on the horizon, so we always ask you to look a little bit up and then right above you. So that height where the circle is right, it's perfect to determine the cloud type. And then you'll notice in this example that there's an E floating, and that E is for east. So what you need to try and do is move your phone or your tablet until that letter or word goes inside the circle, and then it'll go blam! And then a picture will automatically be taken. And then you do it for all cardinal directions, north, south, east, west, and then you can do it up and then do it down. For up, especially if it's outside and sunny, I just make sure that it's not muted, and then I just point it up without looking, right? We want to be safe, and I hear, you know, that picture sound, and then I know that it took it. This is an example of somebody that submitted a picture, and just to show that these thin straight lines, these are contrails, and these clouds are somewhat difficult to detect by certain satellites or instruments on satellites. So again, another benefit of taking these pictures for researchers and scientists. Now, I hope that you guys are encouraged to use the app. I know that we're going to be excited to receive your information. I'm going to stay in the chat and answer any further questions, but I'm going to pass it on to Jessica Taylor, and she's going to go over 2 activities that are great.
Well, hi everyone, and thank you, Marilé. As she mentioned, I'm Jessica, and I'm a physical scientist here at NASA Langley. And I was actually a Globe student in college, so that's a fun fact. I went outside every single day and took observations for the Globe program and would submit them to NASA. Now back then, we had just a piece of paper, and I would record my observations and then submit them through the computer. So we wanted to share with you a couple activities that you might want to consider incorporating into your Earth Day programming. These are activities that we actually did when we went to our local library for Earth Day. And this first one here is estimating cloud cover, and it's a great arts and craft activity for various audiences, and I think you'll find that you probably have a lot of these supplies on hand. You need blue paper, white paper, and glue. And we normally use glue sticks when we do this activity. And you can optionally include scissors if you want. The reason we recommend this activity in particular is because estimating cloud cover can actually be a little tricky. So this is a fun activity that gives everyone some practice and some confidence in making their globe cloud observations. So your participants will basically get to create their own sky scene and have others estimate the percentage of clouds in the sky that they've just created. And so each person needs a blue sheet of paper and a white sheet of paper, and they can tear those clouds apart or they can cut them out. The important thing here is that the patrons need to first decide what percentage of their sky they want to have covered by clouds. And so they can even write that percentage down on the back of their blue paper. And then they're going to, whatever that percentage is, they're going to need to get that much white paper and craft their cloud scene, like I said, by either tearing it apart or cutting them out. And so it's a pretty fun way to practice this. And you can even post the finished art up on a wall, say, and have everyone try to guess the percentage of cloud cover. And one way that we try to make this activity a little easier when we go out is to go ahead and prepare white sheets that are already divided into 10 equal parts. This way, if they were to use, say, all of the white paper, you would be 100% covered. If they just used one of those rectangles, that would be 1/10, so 10% of the sky would be covered. If you didn't want to do 10, you could ask them to kind of think about, okay, if I fold the paper in half, what's the percentage then? 50%. If I folded it again into like a quarters, it would be 25%. So that's some different ways to be able to do it. I really like doing the tenths and just having that already prepared when I do this activity. So why not practice some of this, right? So we thought that we'd give you some real examples of some of the sky art that has been created by library patrons. So take a look at this first example, and I think Brooks is going to pull up a poll for everyone. Great, thank you. So go ahead and take a look at this picture and estimate what you think the cloud cover is. Now, we are actually using a scale. You'll see we grouped some of those percentages together. This is the same scale that's used when you make your observation through the Globe Observer Cloud app. All right, I see we're getting a lot of feedback here. So that's great. Wonderful. Okay, let's go ahead and close that out. And I think that was, does that poll share up? Yeah, so this is 90% cloud cover. So we wanted to start out with this one, and you probably knew that the answer was a lot of clouds. And so in particular, we were using those tenths already put on the piece of paper, and this patron selected to do 90%. And so you'll see here that that differentiation between the two at the upper level can be a little tricky. And one of the things we really want to encourage everyone who's making cloud observations is even if you're not totally sure, please still submit your response. That's the great thing about doing crowdsourced citizen science is that the more people that we have submitting, the more observations in our database, the closer we get to the right answer. And so it's important for everyone to submit whatever it is that they see. And you'll see when you do this activity that the more people you have guesstimate, the closer you get to the right answer. So let's do one more. So Brooks, if you would go ahead and pull up the poll, what do you think the percentage of cloud cover is in this sky art? So another thing to think about is in this picture right here, and in the previous ones, our participants chose to make their clouds looking very similar to one another. You can encourage your patrons to be as creative as they want. And so think about if you were to look at your sky right now, you would probably see many different shapes of clouds in the sky, and you're welcome to encourage patrons to do the same thing in their art. Likewise, we get some folks who get really excited about the idea of trying to stump somebody else about what their percentage of cloud cover is. And a good way to do that is to try to like group them into a section of your paper, which is also great because if we were to look at the sky, sometimes clouds are not evenly distributed, right? They're often kind of patchy. So yeah, encourage them to be as creative as possible. Okay, so let's go ahead and close up the poll. I see that again, we were able to center in right on the correct answer here. And so for this one, it was isolated at 20% cloud cover. Now, I will say that overall, the human eye has a tendency to overestimate cloud cover. And so keep that in mind. But this is really fun, like I said, to even if you had just 4 people doing it, you'd be able to get much closer to the actual answer. So there's just one more activity that we wanted to share with you. And in particular, we want to share this because this is by far the fan favorite. Those of you who actually get your kits will even get hand copies of this cloud teller that we call it. So school-age children and your tweens are going to know exactly how to fold this piece of paper up so that it turns into what you see the picture here. And this is our cloud version of the fortune teller. You will need scissors to cut that square part out, but otherwise it's a fold and go activity that is immensely popular. Hopefully these 2 activities help inspire you for what you want to do for your Earth Day. And I'm going to go ahead and pass it back to Brooks. Thank you.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Jessica. That was great. Also, y'all's transition between presenters was flawless. All right. Wonderful. So let me make sure my mic's still back on. Thank you so much, Marilé and Jessica. That was wonderful. A lot of great resources there. And we're going to talk about a few more activities, and unfortunately had to leave. But I just wanted to make a special announcement. We have 100 Earth Day kits available for the first 100 participants. So, Greg, do you want to go ahead and put that link in the chat box, maybe? You guys are the first to be able to register. We just opened the registration for it. So maybe copy and paste that link. I don't want you guys to leave quite yet. But that is the registration page. And it is live as of now. So you 42 folks, you're going to be the first to have that link. You'll wait just 5 or 10 minutes to do that. I do want to talk about a few more resources. It occurred to me I didn't go over our event page so where all these programming resources live. So I'm just going to do a quick walkthrough of that with you guys. I'm going to screen share if you'll bear with me. Me and Ann were having a good time guessing all the cloud covers over here while you were presenting, Jessica. That was wonderful. Okay, let's share my screen. So here is our Earth Day landing page. So there's a few big resources I want to point to here. Of course, we have our little countdown here for when Earth Day is. Here is the registration for the free Earth Day packets, and I'll go into more detail about what's in those. But you can see here, for anybody logging onto the page, it says registration coming soon. So, shortly after this webinar is open, we'll make it go live for the public. But then going down, we have some nice videos about what the Globe Observer is, kind of what you guys are hearing. A link to download the free app, and then other free programming resources. That referral code library in lowercase is right there. So here are some helpful videos from NASA, I believe NOAA as well. So nice resources. This is where the webinar will live once we get done and it gets uploaded to YouTube. And here's that partnership opportunities page. Now this is what I'm really big on, our programming resources. So this is going to be like specific activities good for Earth Day down here. Different printable materials, photos, website links, and so on and so forth. So this is where you should be spending a lot of time if you're right now trying to plan out what you're going to do for Earth Day or any Earth science related activity. We do have a Earth collection and a citizen science collection on our STEM activity clearinghouse. Definitely worth checking out. And then Anne mentioned to me that this collecting specimens blog post is really good to check out in terms of biology and Earth Day correlations there. So just a quick overview, that's startnetlibraries.org/Earth-Day. I'm sure Greg is putting in the chat box right now. So yeah, just a nice little event page for you guys to check out. Okay. It says NASA and my library partner libraries are not eligible. I believe that is because you have these materials already in Kit A. We'll have to check with Annie on that. Greg, do you know anything about, if you could put in the chat box, if you know anything about the eligibility requirements? Great, thank you so much. If you have questions about that, I would email Annie at aholland, but I believe the idea was that you should have received these in Kit A, so the UV beads and the UV chem. So what is all in this packet of information is going to be some different lithos, some different like printable materials from the Cloud Observer folks. There's also going to be, oh gosh, Anne told me everything that was in it right before she left. There's going to be a bag of UV beads and like Chanel sticks to make your UV kit. So everything you'll need for that activity is going to be in there. A lot of things from NASA, from our NASA friends, some lithos, some printed out materials. And I want to say there's a couple more things that once you click into the link, you'll get the whole list of what all is in there. So with the remaining time that we have, I did want to highlight a few other fun activities. I'm not going to do a full facilitation of these. I just kind of wanted to show you some fun ideas. So this is make a UV detector, and it kind of falls in line with that UV bead activity, except instead of using UV beads, this time we are going to use a bottle of tonic water. Okay, so it's probably better if you get a smaller one. This is all they had at the store. But tonic water actually contains something called, oh gosh, is it quinine, I believe, Quinine, which is a fluorescent material when exposed to UV light. So I'll show you guys. It's just kind of a quick demonstration. You could put this outside to determine what, like, if it's lighting up and you're seeing the quinine, whether it's a really sunny day or whether there's a lot of cloud cover out there. Oh, Yamar, you're saying you don't have globe observer materials in Kit A. Let me write that question down. Let me talk to Anne and see about getting you guys those things. Sorry, 1 second. Okay. So when you shine a UV light, you can see, let's see. It's not showing up that well in the camera. It is a very light blue, just like what's in the picture. So you get a lot of that kind of fluorescent highlighted. Well, I don't know if fluorescent is the right word, but you get that UV light shining through and reflecting in the quinine. So you could put a couple of tonic bottles outside, and you could tell whether there was something like it was a really sunny day or a really cloudy day, and it's just a nice little way to kind of talk about UV radiation. Okay, now this is kind of a offshoot on UV Kid. This is making UV keychains, UV bracelets. I believe it was Jessica or Marilé yesterday was saying, I was calling it a UV bracelet, and they were saying, well, you could do that, but you might not get a lot of younger boys that want to make one. So you could call it a UV chain, a UV power band, I heard. I really like that. And this, of course, is just a UV chain. So for this, kind of the same thing. You're making a little, I guess you could call it a UV detector, and you can protect it. Kind of same thing as a UV kid. Power bands, I like that. And from there, and it's just a way maybe to get adults in that don't want to make those little caricatures or anything like that. So I guess we could just call it UV bracelet or UV power band. I'm not sure it has an official name, but it's just kind of an offshoot of UV Kid. And again, once again, that UV flashlight's great if it is a cloudy day, or just taking it outside and having it kind of react with the sun is also nice. Let's see, I think I have some that Kellyanne was making. I am not crafty or artistic, so mine would probably look a little something like this. So just a fun, keychain, right? And the last one I wanted to highlight, I think I talked about this in our 2018 STEM events webinar, but daylight in a bottle is a really fun activity that talks about light refraction, and it kind of gets off of this theme of the atmosphere and UV light, and it's just kind of talking about ways that we can be sustainable and use renewable energy. So daylight in a bottle, and there's a slew of videos and other resources that you can access from that activity, but basically it's talking about using, I guess the term is daylighting, where you use natural light to illuminate your house. So this is big in parts of the Philippines, South America, and a few other places around the world where they might not be able to afford actual lighting in their household. So there's companies, or I should say not companies, organizations, nonprofits, that go around and they install these basically 2-liter bottles. You put a little bit of bleach in there just to kind of prevent any type of bacteria from forming. And then you shine in the activity, you shine a flashlight on the bottle. But for them, they just kind of stick it up in like a corrugated tin roof to where the top half is exposed, and the water in that bottle refracts the sunlight and really, really, really brightens up a room. So if you check on that entry in the clearinghouse, Greg just posted it down there. It's really fun. It's really easy, and it talks about using renewable materials. So it does kind of have that Earth Day tie in terms of being sustainable. I know Kelly and my colleague did this with her kids, and they put the bottle in a paper bag, so it was dark paper bag, and then she had her kids write like secret messages to each other. When you shine the flashlight through the back end, it really lights up that paper bag, or you could use a box or something like that, and it kind of gives you like you're in a fort and you have some lighting in a fort. So really fun activity. There are a lot of resources to kind of further elaborate on that. Okay, and now that special announcement that I meant to make earlier. Yeah, so again, sign up. First 100 folks will get a kind of like a mini kit with UV kit and a couple of different display things in there. For those our NASA at My Library partners, send me or Annie an email, and if you're looking for some cloud observer type things, and I can see, I would imagine we have some extra stuff that we could ship to you guys as well. All right. So I think actually we did pretty good. We got about 10 minutes for any questions. I believe Jessica and Marilé are still in the chat box. So if you guys have any questions, we'll give you a few seconds to put them in the chat box and get them answered. Yeah, Yumars, if you're a NASA at My Library partner, I wouldn't fill out the form. Thanks for doing my planning for me. Is Marilé available to be a subject matter specialist for a presentation? That would be a question directly for Marilé. I know she's a great webinar presenter, so I can definitely vouch for her on that. Marilé, if you were comfortable sharing your information with everybody, if that's something that you would be willing to do. Let's see. So I see a question, does it have to be on April 2nd or just around that day? Absolutely, anytime you want to do an earth science activity, that is great. I know for like your library scheduling, you might have to do it a day before or a day after. I would say, yeah, anytime around April 22nd, or really anytime you want to do an Earth celebration. I know World Oceans Day is a great kind of STEM tie-in as well. Is there a printable for the Fold and Go Cloud Teller? Yeah, Haley, I believe if you access the Cloud Teller on our STEM Activity Clearinghouse, you should, I believe that has the template for folding it. Doing your big one on April 14th, Saturday. Yeah, I know at an organization I used to work with, we did Earth Day kind of on different days every year. I want to say the official, gosh, there is like an official designation, but I'm not sure. But it is one of those things where kind of the Earth Day spirit and vibe is around for all of late April in terms of just, people getting excited for Earth Day and everything. So I do not think it matters so much about doing it specifically on the 22nd. Looks like that's a Sunday. World Meteorology Day is March 23rd. Okay, great. So there are a lot of tie-ins. If you want to go ahead and do some of these activities, there's things between now and then. Yeah, so Marilé and Jessica both speak Spanish. It's nice to have. So they would be good presenters if you guys were interested, working with their schedule. I'll give you guys just another 20 or 30 seconds for any questions that you might have. Oh, I should mention, when we close out today, out in the virtual classroom, and it'll send you to our SurveyMonkey link, we have some different questions this time, just to kind of get an idea of what you plan on doing, whether you're going to use Globe Observer. And then at the end, as always, there is a SurveyMonkey link. So if you go through the survey, there's a link to a certificate of attendance if you need it for professional development reasons. It seems like it doesn't ever work out. People have a hard time getting to it from the SurveyMonkey link, so you can always shoot me an email and I'll send you over the certificate of attendance as well. Yeah, thank you guys. We were so busy last week with that workshop we were putting on that it's kind of, I sat down on Friday and was like, oh my gosh, Earth Day is right around the corner. We got to get ready for our webinar. So I'm just glad to have such excellent presenters with us. NASA Globe Clouds is doing a data challenge on March 15th to April 15th. The person or group that makes the most observations, oh cool, we'll get a congratulatory video from a NASA scientist. Like start our own group here. That sounds awesome. All right, guys. Well, if you have any other questions, now would be the time to put them in the chat box. Otherwise, you can always email me, Marilé or Jessica, to get more information about Earth Day. But we're just excited that all you guys are going to be celebrating one way or another, and I think it's a great way to get your community involved. All right. So on that note, I'm going to go ahead and end the chat box. I'm just, grabbing onto every last message in there. And yeah, feel free to shoot us an email, and we look forward to seeing you all on April 3rd for our Mars Insight webinar. Stop looking back at the Earth and start looking back out in the solar system and see what we can find out. Already signed up. That's great to hear. That's good because I just opened the registration, so you'll be one of the first. All right, everybody. Thank you so much. Have a great rest of the day. Bye.